I want to talk about the goals in the program. And this is a reminder because I've mentioned this in a previous term, but it's really, really important for you to remember these four goals and to keep them front and center as you move through the program so you don't get confused about what it's all about. And there's obviously a lot of surface level activity. And these are the specific assignments with specific content, the poetry, the great short stories, the online videos of speakers or comedians or inspirational talkers or preachers or whatever. The writing assignment, all of that is activity that we hope helps you grow in certain ways. But that's just resting on top of a deeper level of goals or teaching focuses that we have. Um, and that deeper level is going to be philosophy. Do you know how to think about the core issues? Now, you were given a mind that seeks answers, that wants to know why. Your, the human mind is very often not comfortable with mere programming. Okay, so unlike computers, which are simply and always going to follow the program that is driving them, all right, your mind has the ability to rewrite the program as it runs the program, in the sense that it has the ability to stop everything and say, well, what's the point? What's the value? Is this based on a false belief? Your mind seeks the truth. It seeks value, and it seeks other things like eternal life and health, which is a part of that. And so, we want to talk about that. Your mind seeks creativity. It wants to create, and it wants to take care of of what it has created, especially when it owns it. Ownership, creativity, stewardship, deep level thinking about core issues. Why am I here? Where am I going? Where did I come from? Okay, so there is that level, middle level goals, if you will, of logic and language and philosophy and the deeper points of literature, right? Which speaks to styled and high level communication. But then there's a third level that's even deeper, and this is broader, okay? And we want to say, let's talk about those in terms of what we hope this Associate of Arts does for you. And therefore, remember, rounded thinking, where you learn how to come at a topic or an object or a question from different angles, and you learn how to see the layers, the surface level, the middle level, the depth level of what's really happening there. And you learn how to look at it logically, then you learn how to look at it emotionally, then you learn how to look at it socially, in terms of the social acceptance of a certain definition or something, even though that might not be a very good definition. Okay, so it's rounded thinking. Okay, which was going to involve the visual, the manual, the audible, the oral, right? So that's why you are getting involved in movies, audiobooks, handheld books, and you are trying to do things with your hand in terms of writing something out, so that you get this multifaceted experience, which ultimately is a mental or cognitive experience, right? So rounded thinking. Then it's empathetic partnership, or if you prefer to think of it this way, empathetic existence. You didn't ask for this, but you have it, and you need to honor it. You have life, you have existence, and you exist in a setting with other people that exist. You're existing beings together. Are you going to ignore them? Are you going to hate them? Are you going to use them as tools? Are you going to honor them? Are you going to love them to whatever capacity you can? Are you going to respect them? Are you going to ignore them? What are you going to do with other people? And with true wisdom comes humility. That is always the case. We're going to run with that as a truism. If you have wisdom, you also have humility. And humility doesn't make sense if you're a person on an island. Humility makes sense if you stand before a creator or before other creatures. It makes sense in a community. Okay, now I want you to think about that a little bit. I'm not going to extend this video trying to give you my thoughts, but I'm going to challenge you to consider my opinion that that is an essential part of the definition of being humble. It has to do with how you think of yourself in relation to other people and to your origins, to your creator. All right, so if you have true wisdom, you have humility. If you have humility, you have an awareness of your proper place in a community. All right, so that's why it's important to be an empathetic partner. You have to be able to see something from the other person's eyes. You have to be able to sense what they're feeling when they lost their job, when they lose their child, when they lose their health, when they have achieved something, and they are rejoicing, and you need to rejoice with them because you are empathetic. You have learned how to do this through the, not only life, but thinking about life as you live it. Okay? Now that's what's going to make you different from many of the animals. Not only can you live life, you can think about life as you live it, and you can self-correct. So that's what you need to be doing when it comes to empathy. But it is also gained from, if you can't have the experience itself, then getting involved as much as you can in lucid or vivid representations of the experience. This is why we bring movies into this. Movies can teach you empathy, not movies like the Avenger series, but movies like the ones we present to you that ask you to think about someone in a situation that is full of human value and concern. All right, so rounded thinking, empathetic partnership, or empathetic existence. All right, and the third is better communicator. You need to develop and hone and advance your communication skills. If you want to think about it in terms of being literate, then you need to be highly literate. You need to be professional level literate in terms of how you communicate. Right now, you need to begin to understand yourself in terms of what communication you are being called to, whether it's visual or uh, live in-person communication, speaking situation, a teaching situation, face-to-face, whether it's a recorded visual communication that you're at home with and are excited about, so you are looking at YouTube videos or short film, or you're enthralled with that and you want to be better at that. Okay, that's your gift. That's what you should be focusing. We all need to have a certain level of proficiency with written communication at an employable and professional level, in the sense of you can write an email that doesn't embarrass you. You can write a document or a report that is decent and does its job for your work or your projects. All right, we're not talking about you being a great author here. You're just learning how to, and you are familiar and comfortable with the written communication, the memo, the email, the letter, the report, and you can do it by looking at a few examples, and you have the basic structure, and you know that you can write without the misspellings and the typos and all of that. Okay, so that's just basic. But then you might then start developing a style of written communication. Then you might be branching off into other creative acts of the written communication aspect that you never realized you were drawn to, but now you are, and you actually have some sort of proficiency, whether it's drawing or short story or poetry or novel or nonfiction writing or essay writing, or it could be all sorts of things. Again, maybe it's not that. Okay, our job is not to turn you into authors or filmmakers or whatever. Our job is to, in terms of Ravenburn and the Associate of Arts program, is to tell you you need to be better communicators, and part of that is being better in your literary and literate skill, and finding out which platforms you're going to be the best communicator on. You might have a voice and a pacing that makes you an excellent podcaster. That's what you should be focusing on. And once we understand that, we should be helping you specialize on that down the line, especially if you want to take a gap year and turn the Associate of Arts into a Bachelor's of Arts. And we'll talk about that later in another video. But so the 3 goals so far, okay? Grounded thinking, empathetic partnership or existence, empathetic person, high literate skills, better communicator. And the fourth one is self-directed, lifelong learning. You need to figure out how to keep your incredible mind satisfied with its need for curiosity, creativity, and complexity. All right, so learning how to pick materials that draw you to them because they're inherently well written or well filmed or well crafted and inherently interesting to you, and they are producing that reward. They're creating interest, maintaining it, and rewarding it for you as you get involved with them. Those are the materials that are going to help you stay up a little bit later at night to finish that chapter. And before you know it, in a week or two, you're done with the book and you've grown because the book itself was very well written and accessible and funny and yet entertaining or whatever, interesting. Created interest, maintained it, and rewarded throughout the whole book. And that sort of material, or whole movie, that sort of material is going to help you grow. Then you have to figure out time management so you can put yourself on a pace that doesn't overwhelm you, that doesn't isolate you, that allows you still to relax, have fun, interact with people. But it's all a balance, not ever, always doing that, but doing that to a healthy extent and then also growing your intellect. Again, this is something that you really didn't have a choice about. All right. You have been given this intellect and you can't get rid of it. If you don't honor it and understand it and work with it, it's going to frustrate you. And it is going to be just like everything else in your experience. It's going to not grow to its potential and it's not going to fulfill the good function it was meant to fulfill in the overall picture of your existence. We don't want you necessarily to be a super smart person. We want you to be a well-balanced person. And part of that is being healthy. Part of that is being socially connected. Part of that is being mentally aware of issues so that you are resting, you're keeping the anxiety levels low. Part of that is learning how to worship. You were made to worship. You're going to worship something. You may as well worship the right things. And part of it is realizing that you have an intellect that demands to be satisfied. And it demands to be, it's curious and it craves complexity and interest. That's why you are drawn to interesting and unusual things. And it wants to search for deeper level meaning and answers to these questions. So you either ignore it, turn it off, which both of those things I think are not going to be good for you in the long run, or you simply realize that this is what you were made to do. And you need to do it the right way as you move forward in your life. So 4 goals, okay? Goal number 1, what is it? Grounded thinking. Goal number 2, empathetic partnership, empathetic existence. It's becoming an empathetic person. Maybe it's just empathy. Goal number 3, developing your communication, becoming highly literate in the genres in genres you need to use in your professional life, but especially the ones that you feel drawn to. Platforms, I say, in terms of like whether it's song or video or speaking or writing or drawing. And then goal number 4, self-directed strategies for lifelong learning. Thank you for watching the video.